It's November 23rd. We're still out here trying to do some ripping. You can see there's still plenty of moisture in the ground. This is all ripped just now. And this over here was ripped, a couple weeks ago. It's maybe a little smoother here. It's also had time to settle, but we're in the other ripper. The wil-rich had one of the lift arm assemblies, it cracked, so it's getting welded like sometime this week. So we got the 3-point ripper on the 88, and it's a sweet rig. You can go through about anything. And the nice thing about this one is it's got the covering boards on it right here. These here help throw dirt, help cover up some of the fodder residue out here, so that's really nice. But it's a sweet rig on the 3-point. It's really nice in the wet fields. The other ripper will just want to drag and you have to pick it up a little bit, and then you end up not going as deep or at all, where this one will go right through it. And also with a lot of our odd shaped fields and corners, it's hard to get into them, or you're pulling the ripper when it's in the ground sideways. This one here, you just drive into the corner, you can pick up, back out. It maneuvers really nicely. And it's very quiet in here. It's such a difference in how narrow the hood is compared to the 8970 with the big engine in it. But it's so quiet up in here. Yes, it's a smaller ripper, 1 in length, but it's also a 5 shank compared to a 7 shank. But it's still pretty nice. You can go across the ground pretty nicely. This tractor plays with it. So yeah, loving it. Not loving it that the other one broke, but I forgot how much I missed this rig. I don't know. I'm extremely happy with the job this is doing. This has the 360 bullet points on it. And it's just got a couple like finishing discs or whatever you want to call them behind it to help kind of size up everything so it's not so clumpy. And I suppose there's different models of that. Like a guy could get more of them or something on newer ones, but yeah. This here, when I first started helping out here, it's actually the ripper that I learned how to rip on. This little DMI 1.5 shanker. Then you had another case one, I think it was. Same type of concept, and they went on the 8430 and the 8440. They handled them pretty well from what I remember. I don't remember it being like a big issue, but I only did that a couple seasons, and then moved into like a pull type ripper on the bigger 89. But these little things are, I gotta say I'm loving it. And for turning around, getting in these corners and everything, I mean, I'm sure there is pros and cons to both styles, but in terms of job quality that we're doing, I don't see a major difference. And it's a much simpler designed machine that we have here, less parts, everything. So yes, it's only 5 shank to 7 shank, but being able to get in these corners faster and everything, I mean, that's pretty sweet. It's pretty darn sweet. As we come down this hill here, I'm gonna pick up again, and then there's a big washout here. That's really hard on the ripper with the walking tandems, and I can see that the ripper went through it, and you have to slow way down. Where this one, I just simply pick up. This isn't extreme, so I'm not gonna slow down as much, but tractor walks right through it. We go past it a little ways, the camera's all over the place, and then we just start ripping again. Smooth as can be. That is a huge advantage out here. We have a lot of those little washout areas. They seem to happen. I don't know, it's just the way it is. You can see that we're picking the ripper up and over those areas, so it's not because of tillage, it's just the amount of water that comes through those areas. But we do the best we can to keep the ground that way. This is not owned ground, this is rented ground, so we do the best we can to keep the land in good shape for growing. I think it's a common misconception. People seem to think that farmers they want just rip everything and they just let it erode away, it doesn't matter. But when you really sit back and think about it, does that make any sense? Farmers got money tied up into fertilizer, into crop, building that soil health so that you can grow a good crop. Why would it make any sense for a farmer to just not care if that all washed away? If that topsoil washes away, then you're left with that clay or whatever is underneath there that probably won't grow a good crop anyway. So farmers, more than anybody, don't want erosion. So that's why you see us picking up and over those areas or on side hills and whatnot. So that's why. So some of you are probably like, well, if you used to pull this ripper with an 8430, isn't this overkill? A little bit. But you definitely know it's back there with these 360 points. And they say they don't pull as hard on the second season, but you still know this ripper's back there regardless. But I would rather have too much power. You can see that the other ripper didn't even try to go through here. See, you got a little spun out trying to go around it. But I'm gonna go right through this and clean this up. I'm not even worried. I'm not. I'll clean this up for the other ripper and make it looking good, and it won't even phase this tractor. This tractor's got the weight where the 8430, 8440, they aren't quite heavy enough to be handling this thing. But this area, you know, our beans were drowned out. Obviously, we really didn't get any corn. I don't even know if he got the planter through here, but everything drowns out because we never really can rip it. When water sits, it just compacts the soil, and you just never stand a chance at getting a decent crop off here. Where now, we're able to fracture that top little bit and help it breathe a little bit, help it drain, and hopefully we'll be able to get a decent crop. Next year we'll be able to farm through it with any luck. There's just as much moisture in the soil. This is where he struggled to get through with the other ripper, but there's just as much moisture in the whole field, if not a little more, than when this was ripped with the other ripper. And honestly, there'd be no chance that ripper would go through this today, where we are now, obviously. But it's just a pro for this style of ripper, so we can clean up these areas and help make them, you know, the best possible farm ground that we can for the following year. This tractor, yes, it's a little big. You got the weight you need. You can idle back. You can have better fuel economy. I'd rather have a tractor idled back pulling something than to have something just wound out, you know, working at 100% to pull whatever it is. So you pick your gear, whatever it is, and you can just leave her. She just plays with the ripper, just nice and easy. But this is some sloppy stuff. He made a mess here with the ruts he made, but we'll get it broken up here for next year. Don't take this video the wrong way. I do think each style of ripper has its own advantages. You know, the other one's got more discs up front to help chew through the material, and the harrow on the back, everything else. This one's a much simpler design, does a very similar job, but when you really think, when it really boils down, when you're ripping, you're looking to, you know, get rid of that compaction layer, and we're running the same ripper points on here, so I would say it's comparable. But yes, there is different advantages. Some people are probably going to jump down my throat and say, no, you need to, you know, you should be using that other one, it's way better, blah blah blah. And it might be, but just as happy with the job this one's doing. And you know, people use these and grow some monster crops off them too. So honestly, it's very happy with what it's doing in the areas we're able to get into. You know it's back there when you get through these areas that are a little more wet, a little more compacted from the wagons or grain cart. You definitely feel it. But you can't underestimate it. 5 shank with the bullet points, that's you feel it. Watching the ground get lifted up by these bullet points is so cool. It's really hard to see on camera, but it gets lifted up and then thrown over by the covering board, so it's kind of got to see the difference between those two. But those 360 points are so cool. I gotta stop here at the end. I've got a point that sheared a bolt. I'm just kind of cheating and sliding over because it's my outside one, and he should be coming to relieve me any minute. That way I'm down at the end and he can help me if he shows up. But I'll just stop here at the other end and do that. So if you're unaware what I'm talking about with a shear bolt, if you were to hook a rock, you know, versus pulling the tractor to a stop or breaking one of these parts, the bolt right there pops, because then it won't do anything. It won't dig into the ground. So it's an easy fix. We just throw a bolt in here. Well, let's see which one do we do it in. Yeah, see there? And we're back in business. I just got to figure out where they're keeping them on this tractor. And then we'll be back and going. But really simple ripper. You got your opening discs and you got some finishing discs. Nothing crazy in the back, but it does a pretty darn good job, honestly, for what it is. Easy as that. It is hard to see these from the cab if they're kicked back. You can just see it dragging. I just happened to hear this one pop, and then obviously you can see the job that it's doing. It'll leave a line. That's why I slid over, just to do a decent job till I got to this side. He's not back yet. Take over, so we'll go a few more rounds because I do have to work tonight. I can't help but to smile running this rig. Between the weight and the power, you know, I can feel areas that we come across that you hear the tractor work, you know, whether it's on a hill that's just compacted from the cart, whether it's a wet spot, whatever it might be, you feel the tractor pull. And if it was hooked onto the 8430 or something, I know we'd have to cheat up. It's kind of nice being a little on the overpowered side of things, but again, we do have to be careful. If you have too much power, you can rip that unit apart. So you have to be gentle, you know, to an extent. But this is fun. This is fun. You can just tell we're doing a good job, and it just makes the guy smile because, you know, you just know we can feel that compaction coming out of the ground, and we'll get it mellowed out. The mulch finisher is going to go across this beautifully in the spring, and hopefully have a good crop for 2021. That's what a person can look forward to. You can see there on the right, the other ripper needs much more room to turn around, and then now we're crossed into where we already did. And this one only needs about 3 rounds to clean its headlamps up. So that's also pretty neat. But we're just gonna get relieved here. The pickups are here, and looks like it's time to head out. The other nice thing about the 3-point is as I get to these angles, as I'm meeting the tree line here, when I would turn around in this with the other ripper, I slow way down because then the ripper's it's bouncing and rocking over the top of that, and it's just really hard on it because it's so heavy. The 3-point one, I just pick it up and it's along for the ride as I turn around. Of course, I'm not beating on it, but it just carries it, you know, that you're lifting the whole implement out of the ground and it's just carrying it over that. So that's super nice. And this is where we were working at first. This is where I started the field. And one of the rippers guys got going in the dark over on that tree line. And then a couple days later, another one of the ripper guys in the evening got going on that tree line. And so we ended up with 2 different angle, you know, passes here. So really some compaction there as the cart rounded that corner to go to the back of the field. But again, as we meet up here, whichever direction we go, we can turn around on the already ripped ground. And not that that's ideal, but we won't bounce across it with the other, like the other implement would. This will just kind of carry over it, which is kind of handy. So I'm going for a little bit longer here. Another guy, you know, had to meet with them and talk about whatever they're talking about, and then he's going to relieve me. It's getting close to 3:30. I was going to do a couple other things this afternoon, but I'll do those tomorrow because they're talking snow chances, 1/2 inch tonight, 1/2 inch tomorrow. But honestly, this machine would go through that since we're you know, a little on the high side for power and weight and everything for this implement. We will be able to keep going as much tillage as we want, we're thinking. So gotta love it. Gotta love it. I just won the light game. I thought he left his truck running, one of the sales guys or whatever this guy is. His automatic lights just came on, so therefore winning again. You can see here where the big wagons went through. There's still water standing in this field. We had preventative plant turnips and radishes growing, and those fields haven't been ripped, obviously. You know, they didn't get ripped last year. So it's good to pull that compaction out. It's good to get it so that it's not holding water, because we'll fight that in the spring if we hadn't done this. I actually kind of like the finishing discs on the back of this one. They're spring loaded. Where the ground's not compacted, it's powdery. It's nice and broken up. Where it is compacted and it's kind of coming up in like clumps, it's slicing through it. to help it so it's not so clumpy in the spring. So it's actually doing a really nice job, because our other ripper just has a harrow behind the shank. So I don't know, I kind of like this. It's doing a nice job. There's the ripper, just got relieved here, and I got to get to work. So hopefully I have this out by Thanksgiving. So happy Thanksgiving to everybody. Remember, look out for each other, take it easy, be safe. We'll check you later.